In Pennsylvania, where Democrat Josh Shapiro has won the governor's race by a double-digit margin, his Republican opponent, fervent election denier Doug Mastriano, has still not conceded the race. In fact, since Mr. Mastriano danced a little bit to the Rocky song and made a brief statement to supporters last night, he hasn't said anything since. Over in Michigan, the losing Republican Secretary of State candidate there has not been shy. Kristina Karamo accused one city clerk in the city of Ann Arbor in Michigan of engaging in mass election crimes. Just like Doug Mastriano, Kristina Karamo has not conceded the race that she lost to incumbent Democrat Jocelyn Benson, despite the fact that, as you can see here, she trails by 14 points. Then there's Arizona. In Arizona, the big ticket races there remain too early to call, as Steve Kornacki has just been telling us. Votes are still being counted. We're watching for votes to come in tonight that could potentially be determinative. We shall see. The race is very close. And that, of course, is why late last night, Republican candidate Kari Lake told her supporters to be calm and patient and wait for democracy to run its course. Obviously, I'm kidding. Of course, she didn't say anything like that at all.
We had a big day today, and don't let those cheaters and crooks think anything different. And I want you to know we are going to monitor the ballots. The system we have right now does not work. When we win, and I think it will be within hours, we will declare victory. And we will get to work turning this around. No more incompetency and no more corruption in Arizona elections.
Those cheaters and crooks. That speech came after a whole day of Kari Lake and the whole online MAGA universe promoting conspiracy theories about ballot counting machines in Maricopa County stealing the votes or something. Arizona is a place where the far-right pro-Trump movement went through a very recent period of radicalization around the results of the 2020 election. It wasn't just the cyber ninjas forensic audit fiasco. There was the armed protest around the Maricopa County ballot counting center just after Election Day in 2020. There was another armed protest at the state capitol on January 6th, at the same time the U.S. Capitol was being attacked. This year, people with guns, armed vigilantes, stalked ballot drop boxes in Arizona. Now, law enforcement officials have erected barriers around the Maricopa Counting Center this week. Sheriff's deputies are stationed on the other side of the big fence they've put up around that center. Maricopa County Police know exactly how bad things can get when election deniers start whipping up their supporters. But frankly, so does Kari Lake. As the Arizona election stretches into what may be an extended period of counting in these close races, is there reason to worry about what might be being stirred up in that state? Let's bring into the conversation NBC News correspondent Vaughn Hilliard. He's standing by at the Maricopa Tabulation Center in Phoenix. Vaughn, thanks very much for being with us tonight. I know you're able to hear me setting the groundwork there for this discussion a little bit. First, let me just ask you if any of that strikes you as wrong or sort of not the right context to be looking at this in, given what you're seeing there now.
No, in fact, Rachel, we could have had this conversation a year and a half ago. I remember the first rally that I went of hers. It was in a church down the road in Glendale, Arizona, and she was talking for the arrest, the prosecution, for perp walks of elections officials. We should note that Kari Lake, to this day, has still never named who these elections officials are. You heard in her primary when she had suggested there was irregularities and fraud, that she never provided any actual evidence of any allegations of evidence or fraud, but yet she continued to perpetuate that. And that's what you heard last night, the crooks and the cheaters. Yet Kari Lake has never provided any evidence of who these individuals are. Instead, she has directed ire, even called for essentially retribution against individuals that do not take action, whether it be Arizona Governor Doug Ducey, Mark Brnovich, the Attorney General, and who worked his tail off to try to find some sort of fraud here in the state of Arizona, and yet failed to. And it wasn't until a 60 Minutes interview earlier this month in which he used an expletive to describe Kari Lake and the allegations of fraud that they suggest. But it gets down to an even more baseline level. And when we're talking about these Maricopa County folks here, you're talking about Clint Hickman, who is on the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors. Just earlier this month, an Iowa man was arrested for threatening to hang Clint Hickman. Clint Hickman owns the local egg industry here before he ran as a conservative Republican who voted for Donald Trump to serve on the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors. Katie Hobbs, she faced this last year threats of being blown up. A Massachusetts man arrested here. And yet this has not stopped these individuals. Mark Fincham, the Secretary of State candidate, Republican, he was at the Capitol on January 6th on the premise there. Anthony Kern, an individual who took part in that audit, the so-called audit here, he was at the Capitol on January 6th. And the last thing, when we're talking about what the control of power, Rachel, of what a potential Governor Kari Lake with supermajorities in the House and the Senate here could mean, it was just a few months ago that the Arizona Republican legislator came one vote shy of voting to arrest the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors for refusing to turn over the Maricopa County ballots from the 2020 election for their so-called audit. One vote away from calling for the arrest of these individuals. These individuals have their targets on their back, and that is why here you see tonight not only barbed wire, but fencing, deputies, drones up in the air to ensure that this area is protected. As you can see, we're talking about thousands of votes separating these highly contested races.
NBC's Vaughn Hilliard for us in Phoenix. Vaughn, thank you very, very much for that. It's really, it's really helpful to have you there, but it's also really helpful to have that context. Thank you.